My first reaction to that is, despite what you just heard from Chairman Nadler, neither one of those is a high crime or misdemeanor. So we have now passed through an investigation over the course of the last several months where it's not treason, it's not bribery, it's not extortion, it's not an illegal foreign campaign contribution. It is now whatever a majority of the House of Representatives controlled by the Democrats say it is, which is abuse of power, abuse of conduct, and an interbranch dispute between the executive branch and the legislative branch that is subject to ongoing litigation before the courts that the Democrats are not prepared to wait for a final order from.
We'd heard a lot about the possibility of including bribery or obstruction of justice. Those were not included today.
Correct, and those would be high crimes and misdemeanors. And the historical practice, as well as the text of the Constitution, at least make it apparent to me, but apparently not to the House Judiciary Committee, that the Constitution requires both that it be a high crime and misdemeanor, and that high crime, the high part of crime, be abuse of power. And they seem to have now separated out crime and removed that from the Constitution and just want to focus on the aspect that constitutes the second component, which is abuse of power.
So what do you think will happen next in the impeachment process, specifically with votes?
Well, it looks like those are the two articles that the House Judiciary Committee will then vote on later this week. That will then be referred to the full House of Representatives for a vote next week, up or down. The Democrats have a majority. I think everybody seems to recognize now that it's a foregone conclusion that the House will favorably vote those two articles of impeachment. It will then go over to the Senate, where I would encourage the United States Senate to seriously consider, because it does not allege a high crime or misdemeanor, that a motion to dismiss should be favorably considered by the Senate majority in the other body.
So to dismiss, but will there be a trial?
Well, if there's a motion to dismiss and it's granted, there will be no trial.
So you would do that prior to that?
Well,
I think have to go through those steps.
I think that should be considered in light of what the House now is likely to do. That presents some political issues and some political problems in favor of, let's air out the whole thing and let's have a trial. I wonder really whether the country should be put through that, given the fact that I do not think that the two articles that the House is now apparently going to vote on actually constitute impeachable offenses.
In terms of getting as much done as they can before Christmas, how far do you think that they can get?
I think, well, look, we're almost near the middle of this week. It'll happen just before the House Judiciary Committee. Next week will be the full House. I imagine that will be done before the end of the week, which is December 19th or so. And then, the next week is Christmas. I don't imagine that there will be any further proceedings after that, obviously, once the House. And there'll be a break. And then I imagine that Mitch McConnell, as the majority leader in the Senate, will take this up right after the first of the year. Now, and we'll see where we are when we get there.
Now, McConnell and Chuck Schumer, they have to come to some agreement as to how they'll move forward.
That's based upon, yes, the Senate rules and past practice. So we'll see whether or not they can reach some agreement.
Yeah, that's why I asked about Christmas, because some people are saying that's probably about all that they can
That's probably all the time that they're going to be able to have, which will be the distance between December 19th or 20th through the end of the year. So what's that, 11 days? And then we'll be right after the new year. I imagine that whatever plan will be put into place, if they can come to some plan, we'll see that implemented beginning right on January 2nd. That's what I would imagine.
All right. Could be a long road to go. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Nice to be with you.
Okay, let's keep it rolling as all of this unfolds now. Fallout over the key findings in the Justice Department.